we're going to show you some examples, and these are examples. They're not guarantees, they're not income claims, they're simply examples of what you could do, what you could make, and again, anything that you make here in Vibe Rides is going to be based on your commitment level and your skill level. So let's get on to the next slide, please, Angela. Okay, regular part of our calls, as we've been telling you, is to go through software feature updates, to know what versions you're on and know what changes have happened in the software. So if we're in the software feature update section of our presentation, you all know that what that means. That means Angela's joining us now to go over an update. So Angela, welcome to the call and looking forward to hear what you have to say today.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, Vibe Rides Nation. And yes, let me fix this up. I look like I'm not
You're a little quiet this morning, Angela.
Am I quiet? That's okay. I'm listening. Okay, so if anyone doesn't know who I am, I'm Angela Oliveto. I'm the director of Vibe Rides, and I'm going to present to you the software feature updates. And this time around, we are going to talk about first the latest software versions. And the driver app version at this point today is 48. The rider app version is at 58. And if anyone is paying attention, they are the same. Okay, they're the same because our software updates that we're doing right now are on the back end. So what that means is we're working on the engine. Those numbers right now that you see will be changing by the end of the day, by the weekend. We are updating the front end again, but right now we're working on the engine, just like the engine of a car. We have to make sure it's robust. We want to give you the best experience possible. And so in order to do that, to push that through and give you the best tool on the planet is to make sure the back engine is working awesome for you. And I want to send out, some kudos to, again, our road warriors, which really help us out in regards to challenging that app and working that app every single day. And then they send us in the information in case something is happening in regards to some glitches and so forth. And we are listening, we are watching, and we appreciate you. So I just wanted to send that out to everyone. And then we are going to one of the most anticipated parts of this training is the earnings. So Scott, this is all you.
Great. Thank you, Angela, and thanks for that update on the software. Okay, we want to go back again today and talk about how you get paid. How are your earnings calculated? And we've gone over this a couple times already over the last couple weeks in our training, but we want to just emphasize and go over it again today. So when we look at it on the corporate side, we've got 4 categories that we have. Okay, the first one is the mileage, where we take actually the distance of the trip. How many miles did you drive? We multiply that by a mileage rate, and we come up with what we consider your distance earnings. So how much you actually have related to the mileage, we call that your distance earnings. The second item we have is time. Okay, so we take the time of the trip. Did it take 5 minutes? Did it take 10 minutes? Was it 12 minutes? Were you stuck in traffic? Did it take longer? We take the trip time times a time rate, and that rates the duration of the trip, and that is your duration earnings. Now, it's important to remember, and we've covered this before, is that after your first 50 rides, you're going to get 75% of the distance and durations, or the mileage and time, once you complete those first 50 rides for the month. Prior to that, you'll be getting 70% for those first 50 rides. So that's 70% again on the mileage and the time, or the distance and the duration, right? Or once you're past those 50 rides, it'll be 75%. So that's going to be, the bulk of your earnings are going to come through that calculation. And we're going to look here in just a minute how you're going to see that on the app. Okay, also tolls. We talked about tolls. If you incur tolls, you will be reimbursed 100% of the tolls. You won't incur any costs related to tolls. You'll be reimbursed for that. And then the last item, which I think is the most important item, is the tips. You keep 100% of those tips. And when I look at the tips, I look at that as a big opportunity for the drivers out there. I was thinking when I was putting this slide together for today's meeting, I took a trip recently in Houston, and the young lady that picked me up for the ride was probably what I would consider the best rideshare person I've ever been with. I got in the vehicle. She had a little item on the back of the seat, and it had water in there. It actually had some candies in there. She had the most amazing plug-in for cell phones I've ever seen. She had one cord that came out and had so many different connectors on it. Everything was there. Extremely polite, and I really felt like, wow, the ride I was on, that was pretty spectacular. I've never had anybody treat me like that on a rideshare. I gave a big tip. Because I was just impressed with the way she treated me. And that's for you. I mean, we've talked about a lot about, choose your vibe and how we've made it so you know what the riders want when they get in the vehicle. But that's a big thing, and that's all you. The service you provide is going to really impact that tip. So if we go on to the next slide, Angela, go to the next slide, we're going to give you an idea of how this shows up in the app. So Angela, where are they going to see this in the app? You're our expert on the app. So where were they going to see this, and when will they see this receipt?
In the back of the app, under trip details in the driver tools area. So they'll see that, easy to find. It's itemized so they can get to it really quick.
Okay, great.
And in their history, so basically in their history. So you got to make sure they go back into their history, and they'll see all the details of their trip.
Okay, so as we talked about in the last slide, this is what you're going to see at the end of the trip. You're going to see the distance, which is the mileage. And in this example here, we have 10 miles, and that mileage is at 62 cents per mile. That said, the distance piece of your ride came out to be $6.20. The duration, which is the time, in this example here, is 15 minutes, and that's at 19 cents per minute. And that calculates to be $2.85. The tolls, as we talked about, in this situation, we're saying, yes, there were some tolls that you have that were reimbursed, and the total that comes out from that is $10.70. Now, we also have a line item out here for the driver tip, so you can actually see your tip. One thing, though, that we can't control is the timing of when the rider may tip you. Some may do it right away. Or like me, I'll use myself as an example. If I'm getting out of a rideshare and I'm at the airport, sometimes I'm not really on time when I get to the airport, and I've got to run through things pretty quick. And a lot of times I don't get around to doing the tip until after I've gotten through security and I'm on the other side going to my plane, or actually maybe if I'm standing in line for the plane. So if there is a delay with the rider tipping you, it may not pop up immediately as it relates to that ride receipt, but when the driver does tip you, you will see that coming through as a separate receipt. And then on the bottom there, we have your earnings, which is the first two, the distance and the duration, which we earn. Like I said, the tolls are reimbursement. So from a reimbursement standpoint, we don't really consider that earnings, and your earnings are there. Angela, anything else on the trip receipt breakdown that you think the drivers need to know today?
No, I just wanted to clarify there may be changes. As you mentioned, in regards to the tip, of course, that may come in at a later date. But in regards to the details, they may change. The reason for that is anything could happen after the trip, right? Riders cancel items, they want refunds. So that's why it may be not perfect. Just remember, these are approximate numbers that come through. You will see it definitely in your driver's earnings. Once you get it in your driver's earnings, those are the accurate numbers. These ones here are letting you know what exactly transpired, but it may change a little bit depending on what happened after the ride, okay? So I just want to make that clear.
Awesome. Okay, so that is, like I said, the earnings breakdown. So again, like I said, this is what you're going to see in your receipt. You're going to see the miles, you're going to see the time, and you're going to see the rate for both the miles and for the time. And this should be pretty easy for everybody to basically take a look at and see what their earnings are. So hopefully that clarifies things for many people out there. And I guess the other thing I want to point out at this time too is that we've talked about this before, but there are also in every ride a number of items that we at Vibe Rides have got to pass on to the different regulatory authorities. So anything related to sales tax, anything related to airport fees, anything related to venue fees. So there are some, like we talked about, some venues that are using geofencing and actually charging for that. Any type of fee that we have to collect and pass on will be paid for by the rider. That's not going to show up on your trip detail, but whatever we have to collect from the rider to pass on to the appropriate regulatory authority, we'll do that. Sales tax is, again, is a big item. Always do that, and the airport fees that we have. So, and also an item that we pass on is also comes down to be to our marketing and branding partner, which is iBuumerang. We also pass over to them the fees related to Overdrive. And we've talked about Overdrive before. That's another big opportunity. If you haven't checked out Overdrive, I would recommend some of our drivers to really take a look at that and think about it. It's a great opportunity to build a fleet. So let's go on to the next item, Angela.
There we go.
Okay, I'm going to let you handle this, Angela.
Okay, the independent rep logo. We mentioned it on the last training call, and of course, the trainings are recorded. You can find it on the Vibe Rides Facebook page. So we talked about these logos that you need to use because it's really important that you use the logos that we share with you because of compliance. Okay, so where you can find these are in the driver resources on the viberides.com website. So you can find those there. Easy to access. You can download it. We will also have it on the iBuumerang.com website as well for accessibility. So here in the driver's resources, easy to get to. Download this logo if you plan on using it as an independent rep. This is what we'd like you to use so you can stay in compliance and keep moving and doing your thing out there, out in the field. And that is all for the independent rep logo.
Great, thanks, Angela. All right, let's jump to the next slide. Driver recognition. Oh, we can hop to the next slide, Angela. Okay, I mentioned before in our calls that we're putting together some programs for driver recognition, and we're going to have 3 categories for that. We call it the Grand Prix, the Monaco Grand Prix. We call it the Le Mans, and we call it pole position. And I guess we're not getting them right now, but we will. And we're looking at getting these up and running in recognition for you, our drivers. We touched on them briefly. The Monaco Grand Prix is going to be a recognition related to how many drives you take, how many trips you make. Le Mans is going to be basically related to how many miles you drive, and pole position is going to be a culmination of everything, including ratings. And we're going to be talking more about that in the weeks ahead. We're probably looking at rolling this out around the 1st of May to get a full month in and get everybody on the same playing field. So that's coming up. So let's go to the next slide, Angela. Okay, April promotions. We've talked about these before, but I want to touch on them again just because they're so important. So the first one we have, and again, this is an opportunity that came to us from our branding and marketing partner, iBuumerang, that they're doing this for the riders to win an all-exclusive 4-day, 3-night vacation in Cancun. Next slide, please, Angela. And that is for 2 people. Airfare is not included. If you win this event, if you win this and you don't have anybody to go with, I'm sure I could find myself available for a trip to Cancun. It sounds like a great opportunity. And every ride you take counts as an entry. So if you say, wow, I just took 5 rides this last week, that's great. You're going to get 5 tickets for the drawing. We've had a winner this week and a winner last week, but it's a great opportunity. And we do this to simply get the riders involved. And this is something, like I said, that that's why we partner with iBuumerang. They're going to be emphasizing the rider side coming in for us and using Vibe Rides. So let's go on and talk about the next slide, please. Okay, this is probably my favorite promotion, and I just may have to drive myself in the month of April to get this. Complete 25 rides in April and get a Vibe gear bundle. Wow, this is just like I said, this is probably my favorite promotion that we have. Almost $200 of Vibe gear in this bundle, from the thermos to the hoodies to the hats to the pullovers. So let's take a look at what we get on that next slide, Angela. I'm even wearing one of them today. I'm wearing the one on the very bottom there, but some great gear you can get from Vibe Rides. Some great branding opportunities for when you talk to your riders and meet with them. So I really love this slide. Love this stuff. If you haven't had a chance to do it, it's just great quality, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So let's move on to the next one, please. Okay. Again, Vibe 5 driver promotion. We've talked about this, your initial 5 rides. Anytime you get your initial 5 rides, once you're a driver and you get your initial 5 rides, you're going to get a $50 reward. Why do we do that? We get a $50 reward to help you as a driver offset those upfront costs. And we've talked about it. There's 2 upfront costs. One is the background and one is the vehicle inspection. So we already talked about the background check on our prior calls, and that background check is approximately $33. And there's been a lot of questions also on the vehicle inspections. How can I get it? Where can I go get it? What's it going to cost me? So Angela and a team of our drivers have been working on solving that answer for you on the vehicle inspections. So big kudos to Angela and the group to come up with an answer on vehicle inspection. So Angela, why don't you pull up the next slide and tell the drivers what you've done for them?
Okay, my computer's acting.
It's up there, it's fine.
Up today. Okay, so this is very exciting. And again, yes, I want to give kudos out to the drivers out there who've been doing their due diligence and asking questions and finding things out for us. And we've been collaborating, and this is amazing. And thank you so much all for all your hard work out there. Those warriors are amazing. And you can all be warriors, right? So this is great. So the 19-point inspection locations, these locations, Tire Kingdom Service Centers, the NTB, which is Tire and Service Centers, and Merchants Tire and Auto Centers. These are one huge group, but they have locations all over Texas and all over Florida. I'm sure anyone who lives in these areas are familiar with these logos, and they have offered to do the 19-point inspection for $16.99 plus tax at any of these locations throughout Texas and Florida. And so we thank them very much for collaborating with us. They are just out there wanting to help out in any way that they can. And this is how they're going to help reduce the costs for these 19-point inspections and accessibility. They have hundreds of locations throughout. So you'll see them. You can get them in as well. Dallas has them. I think Dallas is Merchants Tire and Auto Centers. I'm not sure, but you know better. If you're in Dallas, you'll know. Tire Kingdom, I believe, is Florida, and NTP is mainly in Texas and Houston. And but one thing you need to do, and I just want to clarify this, you need to bring in the car in your profile. So if you want to get inspections done, that is up to them in regards to any other vehicle. But you need to bring in your form, your 19-point inspection form that we provide for you for Vibe Rides. Bring that in. You need to hand that in, and you need to make sure that it's the car in your profile, because they will check. They need to make sure they are giving you the inspection you need for the vehicle in your profile. And also, they've agreed to give other discounts as well. So once you're in there, and if you need a tire rotation or you need, your oil change, they are offering discounts on that as well. And we thank them so very much, but that's what's going out there with these guys. And so go on out there. If you haven't gotten your inspection done, this is a phenomenal deal. Go out there, get it done, get it in, and let's get you driving.
That's awesome, Angela. So if a driver goes into one of these locations and they've got their vehicle inspection form, will these locations know the pricing and it is part of Vibe Rides, or do they need to communicate that with the people there? Because this is a great price. It's an unbelievable price. I just want to make sure that for all of our drivers going in, so all these locations know that it's on like a pre-printed form, and they should get $16.99 plus tax.
That is correct. You go in there, you mention Vibe Rides, they'll see the form. They're very familiar. They have copies of the form as well. They will get you into the system, make sure it's the car on your profile that you're getting inspected. And yes, $16.99 plus tax. Absolutely.
Wow, that's just amazing. So again, I keep telling you drivers that Angela is the best advocate for you drivers in the home office. This is a huge thing, Angela. I'm sure on behalf of all the drivers, I'm thanking you for this. But think about this now. Think about this for our drivers out there, and from a cost standpoint. We talked about $33 for the background check, and here we have $17 for the 19-point inspection. If I'm doing the math, 33 plus 17 is $50. And the promotion we're running now for Vibe 5 promotion gives you the opportunity to cover those costs, just for doing 5 rides. Just for doing your initial 5 rides, we've got that promotion going. So this is great. I mean, this is an amazing thing. So Angela, thanks to you. And again, thanks to all of our drivers out there that participated and helped Angela in doing this. So I think that's a great opportunity. Like I said, for everybody on there, we're on here every Tuesday and Thursday at 11 o'clock. Our whole purpose in doing this is to communicate really with you, the drivers, of what's going on. We enjoy it. It's kind of funny. I see Angela here on Zoom calls, and it really is kind of odd, is that, we're used to working together in the same office, and now we're basically on different sides of the country communicating. So Angela, it's good to see you, since I don't see you all the time anymore.
It's good to see you too, Scott, and I actually can't see you. I don't know what's happening with my computer. I can't see anyone's face right now.
That's okay.
But it's good to see you when I do see you. Thank you.
Okay. So again, everybody out there, work through that process. We know we have a lot of people in the queue. We can see the people that are the drivers that are working through the process. But again, you're getting those texts from our customer amazement team. Mr. Fred Brim, who's our director for customer amazement, he's sending that information out. We've got great prices right now in the vehicle inspections. Work through your driver app, get ready to go. Like I said, we can see people excited. We see the riders downloading the app. Be ready, get yourself ready as you go forward. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate it.